Hey there, welcome to the Mountain of God. My name is Kamil. Today is 1st of June 2021. Welcome to video number 42. Today I want to talk about three roles that your Father, your God, wants to play in your life. Three roles that He probably supposed to play by the definition of your God, but because of how we overuse the word God, you probably never even thought about giving Him possibility to play that role for you. So we see, first role that we talked about it a lot is the role of your Father. And you see, maybe because I was raised in a country which is basically Catholic, but even looking at like a traditional evangelical churches, this is not really a role which is well explained. Because that's why I'm saying that word God is overused, because He even calls Himself Father. But what does it even mean? You see, Father plays two roles in life of his own child. First of all, He teaches him what does really Father do. He teaches his son or a daughter, because there are two different roles really. But he teaches his kids what doesn't Father's love mean. He teaches how Father's protections work. This is one of the roles that it is fundamental. And you see, because many of us are seeing God as God, someone you're supposed to be afraid of, you never allow Him to play that role. And I don't want to talk about it again because I talked about it, in at least a few videos. But as I always say, you will never be able to be a warrior or a servant of God if you've never been a son first. Or a daughter, for that matter. So that's why you need to understand what does really Father's love mean. Without that, you're just gonna be owned. You're just gonna be a slave. You're just gonna do things just because you're afraid or just because you have to. Which has nothing to do with being a child of God. And second role that your Father is playing in, or Father is playing in a life of a child, is teaching him how to become smart and how to become like Him by being and having this close father-child type relationship. And that's why I started this whole series from talking about how to talk to your Father. Because everything is going to come back to that. Because if you are not able to talk to Him, ask Him a question and get an answer, have this two-way, bidirectional communication with Him, everything that we're talking about is just a simple theory, which will have no impact on your life. So that's why that starts it all. And if you have that, then the first thing that you're supposed to think, if you had enough lessons, if you really understand that, what doesn't mean that He's your Father, what doesn't Father love and protection means, and did you have enough lessons of how to become like Him using this relationship father-child and child-father. Second role that I want you to think about is like a more mature version of that relationship that we just talked about. I want to think about, have you ever thought about giving permission to be your mentor? Because you see, many of us are kind of, we live as Christians, and we come to the Father and we're not really giving Him permission to play the role that He's supposed to. Because many times I can hear, people say that, I read Bible or I talked to God, I prayed, and I think this is what I'm supposed to do, but I don't feel it, or I have to think about it. And it's like, so He told you something, or you learned about something and you have to think about it? You see, this is not the role of a mentor, because if you will see a mentor in Him, you would say, my mentor knows what he's talking about. And if I don't want to do something, I'm just going to say it straight. I just don't want to do it. then I would know that you know that he knows what he's talking about, and you know that he is right, but you're just fighting not to do it. Then I would understand. But you see, that's why I want you to think about it, because the moment you give him permission to be your mentor, what will change is not him, but your own approach. But let me talk about it a little bit later. Think about, have you ever thought about giving him permission to be your mentor? Point number 3. Have you ever thought about giving him permission to be your therapist? You see, my generation was never really open to talk about those things. We never heard that you had, psychologists or therapists, and I don't know, until you ended up in a straitjacket. But now, because this new generation is much more open, it's much more, I don't know, I think it's socially acceptable to talk that you have depression, or that you feel bad, and that you have therapy or something. Now, when it's more acceptable, I would guess that so many of us are doing this, are going to the therapy, but we never even thought about asking your father to be your therapist. And you see, there's one major difference in between any father, any mentor, and any therapist. He knows you, and he knows you really, really, really well. This person knows every atom in your body. This person knows everything that happened in your life, and not only, as a stories, but this person knows everything to the level of your own subconscious mind and your own motives that push you to do this or that. He's seen everything. You're completely like an open book. Because transparent, I think it's a bad word. But you know what I'm trying to say is that he really knows you, and on top of that, there's no one else loving you more than he does, and I think that's obvious. It's self-explanatory. So do you think there's a better person to help you with the things that you cannot handle yourself? That he won't be able to deal with your depression, to deal with the problems that you're just so overwhelmed by them that you're suffocating in your own body. Do you really think that there's someone better to help you with this? So you see, these 3 roles are crucial. And if you look close enough, the word God's supposed to have all these 3 included. But because we overuse this word, it just doesn't. It's just very shallow word, God. Ugh. So that's why I want you to think about which of these roles is important for you. And there's practically 1, maybe 2 things that you're supposed to do to make it work, to change this and give your life possibility to switch to the next gear. First of all, go to your father, like every day you go and meet him in your prayer room or praying closet, and give him permission, or give yourself permission, to give him ability to play that role for you. You see, it's not about, I have to give him permission. No, it's about you being able to open yourself up and look at and see him as that role. Because you can say, no, he's my father, but do you really allow him to be your father? No, he's my God, but do you really give him possibility to mentor you? Do you really treat whatever he says as you would hear it from a mentor? Do the same thing with your therapy, with the things that you cannot handle yourself? Do you really listen when everything is dark and gloomy? Because I tell you, I did. I had few situations in my life that I really seen darkness. The toughest time in my life I consciously spent with him. And I tell you, you will never be the same person again. Because when he comes to help you with in the darkest moments of your life, you just cannot unsee it. How close and how intimate he is with you, and how precise and how tactical, how wise he is. Spending time in the darkest time with him will change you forever. So first of all, go to him and give him permission to play that role for you. Because nothing is going to change on his side. Everything is going to change on yours. Because then you start to give him permission to be, and you will receive the things that you will hear from him as it will come from your father or your mentor or your therapist. So this is what I want you to take from this video. Or let me get back to the point number 2. Go to him, and second, ask him to prove it to you. I think it would not be, the whole picture would not be full if I would not say that. Because you see, one thing is to give him permission, but second thing is to challenge him or give him kind of putting yourself in a situation when you would expect for him to prove that he is capable of playing that role for you. If you do this, he will do everything he can to do this. And he can do anything. You will be surprised. And as with everything that I told you, to challenge him or ask him or you know, poke him or a kind of make his life miserable, because you're gonna annoy him until you get what you ask for. He will never let you down. That's that simple. So now, this is what I want you to take from this video. Because word God is so overused and shallow now, you might love your God, be in a relationship with your God for years, and you might miss at least those 3 roles, because there are probably more. And you could miss the lessons that could change your life if you spend some time giving him permission to be your father. Maybe spending some time giving him possibility to be your mentor or your therapist when you need him, or all of 3 at the same time, or all of 3 all the time. You see, the one thing that he needs is you having an open mind, an open heart to receive him as this role, and your life will change forever. So think about it and do something about it. Because the only thing you have to do, the only thing that separates you from seeing yourself changed, is simply ask. If you like this video, like, share, comment. If you didn't, like, share, and comment as well. Tell me what you think and what is your experience. And if there's is there anything that you want me to talk about, just give me a shout and I'll be glad to do it for you. And that being said, see you in the next video.